Hey everyone, welcome back. It's time for another deep dive.
Okay.
Today, we're taking a look at something that's pretty relevant for all you UPSC aspirants out there, especially if you're focusing on your mains and prelims exams.
Absolutely.
We're going to be talking about Mars,
Okay.
the red planet,
Yeah.
and why it's red.
Yeah.
And you might think, well, it's rusty, right? Like we all kind of learned that basic
Yeah.
idea.
Right.
But it's actually a lot more interesting than that.
It is.
In this down-to-earth article, Mars' red color, a new, wetter explanation, really digs into the latest research. So,
Yeah, this is a fascinating one because we're talking about a very specific type of rust called ferrihydrite.
okay.
And what's so interesting about it is that ferrihydrite needs water to form.
Oh,
So this suggests that Mars might have been a lot wetter in its past than we previously thought.
so you're saying Mars was actually wet at some point?
Yeah.
Like, how wet are we talking here?
Well, wet enough for this particular type of iron oxide to form all over its surface.
Okay.
You see, for years we assumed that the red color came from hematite, which is another iron oxide, but that one forms in dry conditions. It was a simple explanation.
Right.
But this new research from Brown University, they published their findings in Nature Communications, and it really challenges that assumption.
So basically, it's not just rust. It's a special kind of rust.
Yeah, exactly. Iron oxides, that's just the fancy scientific term for rust.
Okay.
But the type of rust matters.
Obvious,
And
yeah.
in this case, it's a big deal because ferrihydrite not only needs water to form,
Right.
it can actually trap water and protect organic molecules.
And that's important because...
Well, organic molecules are essential for life as we know it.
Oh, wow. So this isn't just about a change in color. We're talking about a planet that might have been a completely different world than the dry, dusty Mars we see today.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's what makes this research so groundbreaking.
It really does.
You-
So how did they figure this out, though? Did they, like, get a soil sample from one of the rovers or something?
No, not quite. They actually recreated Martian dust here on Earth. Yeah. In a lab, they ground up minerals to create this superfine powder.
Okay.
And we're talking extremely fine, like 1/1100th the width of a human hair.
Whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then they compared this synthetic dust to the observations of real Martian dust that we've gotten from spacecraft.
So they basically made a mini Mars in the lab.
It's pretty incredible, right?
Yeah, wild. And what'd they find?
Well, their results showed that the dust with ferrihydrite was a much better match for the Martian dust we've seen from orbit.
Okay.
Which means the red we see isn't just dry oxidation.
Right.
It points to a wetter and potentially more life-friendly past for the planet.
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
It's like we always thought of Mars as this dry, dead world.
Yeah.
And now it's like, whoa, wait a minute. We might have a completely different place.
Right, and that completely changes our understanding not only of Mars,
Yeah.
but also the potential for life beyond Earth.
And even the conditions needed to support life on our own planet too, right?
Absolutely. It really puts things into perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty big deal.
It is a massive discovery.
And it's also a great example of how science is constantly evolving, like challenging our assumptions and pushing the boundaries of what we know.
Exactly. And it's this kind of critical thinking and awareness of current events that's so crucial for UPSC aspirants out there.
For sure. Because I can already see how this could tie into the UPSC exams. Like understanding the process of scientific discovery, the role of technology, the implications for the search for extraterrestrial life.
Absolutely.
All of those themes are totally aligned with the UPSC's focus on, critical thinking and analytical skills.
Couldn't agree more. And speaking of collaboration, it wasn't just one lone scientist who made this discovery, right?
Yeah, it was a whole team effort.
Exactly. This involved data from multiple missions all working together.
Oh, so like a whole team of spacecraft detectives.
Yeah, you could say that.
Each contributing a clue to solve the mystery of Mars's red color.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Cool. So which missions were the MVPs in this Martian case?
Well, we're talking about ESA's Mars Express and the Trace Gas Orbiter, along with a whole fleet from NASA, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, Curiosity, Pathfinder, and even the Opportunity rover.
Wow. So we've got a real international team here.
Absolutely. Each mission providing its own unique piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so it wasn't like one spacecraft could have figured this out on its own. They all had to work together.
Right. Each spacecraft has its strengths and its limitations.
Makes sense. And that kind of collaborative approach, that's something UPSC folks should definitely take note of.
Yeah.
Because it highlights the importance of international cooperation
Right.
in these big scientific advancements.
Absolutely. And this is a theme that often pops up in the UPSC exams, so it's definitely worth paying attention to.
For sure. And speaking of future collaborations,
Yeah.
we've got some exciting new missions on the horizon, like ESA's Rosalind Franklin rover
Right.
and the joint NASA Mars sample return mission.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see what they uncover.
Oh, me neither. Especially with those Martian dust samples collected by the Perseverance rover.
Yeah, imagine the secrets those samples hold.
It's mind-boggling, just waiting to be analyzed back here on Earth.
I know.
Hmm.
And when they are, scientists will finally be able to determine the exact amount of ferrihydrite
Right.
and paint an even more detailed picture of water's history on Mars.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe even find definitive evidence of past life.
Whoa, that's a big one.
Yeah.
This is why I love keeping up with these scientific breakthroughs. It's not just about memorizing facts.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how these discoveries are made, the role of technology,
Right.
and the broader implications for, humanity's quest to understand our place in the universe.
It's a constant journey of discovery.
It really is.
Yeah.
And all of these themes, they tie in perfectly with what the UPSC is looking for,
Yeah.
critical thinking, analytical skills,
Right.
being able to connect the dots.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely worth paying attention to these kinds of stories.
Couldn't agree more.
All right. Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I know
Awesome.
you've got a final thought-provoking question for our listeners.
I do. Something to really get those brains buzzing.
Okay. Hit us with it. What should we be pondering?
Well, now that we know ferrihydrite is the key to Mars redness,
Okay.
what other secrets might it unlock?
Good question.
Could there be hidden reserves of water trapped within these ancient Martian soils? What does this discovery tell us about the planet's evolution and its potential to have once supported life? These are the questions we need to keep asking.
Wow, you really left us with a lot to think about. I love it.
I hope so.
Listeners, what are your thoughts on this whole Mars revelation?
Yeah.
Share your insights and any questions you have in the comments below.
We'd love to hear from you. And remember,
Yeah.
this deep dive was inspired by the Down to Earth article,
Right.
Mars Red Color, a new, wetter explanation.
Definitely check it out. It's a fantastic resource for staying up to date on the latest scientific discoveries, especially for all you UPSC aspirants out there.
Especially for you folks.
And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into current affairs and scientific breakthroughs.
Yeah. We'll help you stay ahead of the game and give you that extra edge in your UPSC preparation.
Right. Until next time.
Keep those brains buzzing.
Yeah, curiosity alive.
Exactly.
See ya.
Bye. Yeah, it really was a team effort. And each spacecraft brought something unique to the table,
Okay, so why were so many different missions needed? Couldn't just one spacecraft have figured this all out?
Well, you see, each spacecraft has its own strengths and limitations. Like, take the Trace Gas Orbiter, for example, the TGO.
Okay.
That one was super important because
Yeah.
it could observe Mars under varying illumination and from different angles.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and this allowed scientists to distinguish between particle size and composition, which was crucial when they were replicating that super fine dust in the lab. Remember how we talked about that?
Right. Like 11/100th the width of a human hair.
Exactly. So having the TGO's perspective was really key to cracking this case.
So it's kind of like having multiple witnesses to a crime, right? Each one sees things a little differently.
Yeah.
And by putting all those perspectives together, you get the full picture.
That's a great analogy. And that's exactly how these different missions work together to help us understand Mars's red color.
And that collaborative approach, that's something UPSC folks should definitely pay attention to,
Absolutely.
because it highlights the importance of international cooperation, in these big scientific advancements.
Right.
It's a theme that comes up a lot in the exams, so it's worth noting.
For sure. And this spirit of collaboration continues with the upcoming missions, too. Like ESA's Rosalind Franklin rover.
Oh, yeah.
And the joint NASA-ESA Mars sample return mission.
Those are going to be incredible.
Oh, I can't wait. Especially to see what they find out from those Martian dust samples collected by the Perseverance rover.
Right. Imagine the secrets those samples hold, just waiting to be analyzed back here on Earth.
It's mind-blowing. Scientists will finally be able to determine the exact amount of ferrihydrite present and get an even clearer picture of water's history on Mars.
And maybe even find some evidence of past life.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless.
This is why it's so important to keep up with these scientific breakthroughs. It's not just about memorizing facts for the UPSC exam.
Right.
It's about understanding how these discoveries are made, the role of technology,
Yeah.
and the bigger implications for humanity's quest to understand our place in the universe. you know?
It's about the journey of discovery.
Exactly. And all of those themes, they align perfectly with what the UPSC is looking for.
Absolutely.
Critical thinking, analytical skills, connecting the dots.
Couldn't agree more.
So yeah, it's definitely worth paying attention to these kinds of stories.
For sure. They're not just about Mars. They're about so much more.
Well, before we wrap up this deep dive,
Eh.
I know you've got a final thought-provoking question for our listeners.
I do. Something to really make them think.
Okay, hit us with it. What should we be pondering?
Well, now that we know that ferrihydrite is the key to Mars's redness, what other secrets might it unlock?
Ooh, I like that.
Could there be hidden reserves of water trapped within these ancient Martian soils?
Okay.
What does this tell us about the planet's evolution and its potential to have once supported life?
Man, so many questions.
Right. It's like we've just opened a whole new chapter in Mars's story.
It really is.
Yeah.
And listeners, what are your thoughts on this whole Mars revelation? Share your insights and any questions you have down in the comments below.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And remember, this deep dive was inspired by the down-to-earth article, Mars Red Color, a new, wetter explanation.
Great article. Definitely check it out if you want to dig a little deeper.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic resource for staying up to date on the latest scientific discoveries, especially for all you UPSC aspirants out there.
For sure. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into current affairs and scientific breakthroughs.
Yeah. We'll help you stay ahead of the game and give you that extra edge in your UPSC preparation.
All right. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.
And that curiosity alive.
See you later.